Hello students, in this video I am going to explain stanza 1 to stanza 6 of the famous dramatic monologue Rabbi Ben Ezra, written by prominent Victorian poet Robert Browning. Students, in this dramatic monologue, a rabbi, a scholar, Ben Ezra is the speaker, and he is giving expression to Robert Browning's optimist philosophy in this poem. Let's see what this rabbi sings. Stanza 1, here it goes. Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be, the last of life for which the first was made. Our times are in his hand, who saith, a whole I planned. Youth shows but half. Trust God, see all, nor be afraid. Students, here the Rabbi Ben Ezra is addressing the human society, we can say in general, and he is telling the people around him to grow old in his company, and he encourages them to welcome old age because it is the best part of life. As he says in the second line, the best is yet to be, means when we will grow old, that old age will be the best part of our life. It is the final phase of our life, and youth is the first phase of life, and that first phase of life is just the preparation of old age. That is it, as he is saying in the third line, that for which the first was made. First is for the youth, and youth was just the preparation for the last phase of life, that is the old age, and that is the best phase of life. And he further says, our times are in his hands, that a man's life, a human being's life, is entirely in the hands of God. God has a definite design in his mind, because he says, who saith, means God says, a whole I planned, means God has a definite design in his mind for the human beings, for the universe. And life is planned by God as a complete whole in which each part has its own value, and youth shows but half, and youth is just one half of this design of God, this plan of God. Old age is other half. So in this way, Rabbi is just trying to convince the human beings that we should not fear the coming of old age. We should have full faith in God and experience the whole of our life without any fear. See all, nor be afraid, means we must have faith in the complete design as it is planned by God for us. So there is nothing to be afraid of. So in this way we can say, in this first stanza, Browning's philosophical views, or Browning's optimistic philosophical views, I should say, are made quite explicit in the opening stanza of this poem. In the stanza 2, the same note continues. The rabbi here talks of the period of youth. Not that amassing flowers, youth sighed, which rose make ours, which lily leave, and then as best recall. Rabbi talks of the period of youth here, and he does not protest against the youthful aspirations or desires. Here the phrase amassing flower is for the fresh aspirations or the dreams of the youth. Youth cherishes several desires, but at the same time youth is uncertain. He first just wishes for one and then for another. Youth is not sure. Youth does not know which desire is to be discarded as worthless and which is to be followed. As the Rabbi is saying in the second and third line, that which rose may covers, means which desire is to be cherished, which lily leave, and which desire is to be discarded, means he just unsure to decide. In youth, man has the highest ideals and ambitions, no doubt. And in the next line, Browning is comparing those ideals with admiring stars. Not that admiring stars it yield, nor Jove, nor Mars, mine be some figured flame which blends, transcends them all. Browning compares the ideals, the dreams or aspirations and ambitions of youth to the stars, which are by nature high and unattainable. And youth fixes its eyes on an ideal which combines the best of all other goals and even surpasses them. Youth longs for the best. Youth aspires much higher and beyond what actual life offers him. A youth is not satisfied with ordinary planets like Jove and Mars. It yield that youth wishes for something much more, and it is not satisfied with ordinary planets like Jove and Mars. Youth craves for a star of his imagination. Mine be some figured flame, some grand, some splendid, something glorious, beyond all other stars. Transcends them all, means beyond all other stars, and something figured flame, something glorious, something grand. Or here the word flame is for the star, and the word blending, here blending is for that star must combine the rarest qualities of all the stars, and then it should surpasses them all, means every youth craves for a star of his imagination, something splendid, something glorious beyond all other stars. So in a nutshell, we can say in this stanza, the Rabbi is talking about the youth age. Students, in the stanza 2, the Rabbi is talking about the high hopes and the fears of the youth. So in this next stanza, stanza 3, the Rabbi is saying that he is not against those very high hopes and fears. So what he says or what he sings, let's see. Not for such hopes and fears, annulling youth's brief years, do I remonstrate? Remonstrate means to find fault. Folly wide the mark, rather I prize the doubt. Low kinds exist without, finished and finite clods, untroubled by a spark. The Rabbi does not find fault with youth for spending its time and its energy in reaching out for high hopes, for high goals, or at the same time for fears, means for being afraid that these high hopes might remain unfulfilled. So all these fears and all these hopes, the Rabbi does not find fault with youth. The Rabbi does not remonstrate the youth. Folly wide the mark. He says a foolishness which misses the point. It is just a foolishness, stupidity, which just misses the point, which just misses the significance of life. Rather, I prize the doubt. He says that I will be just a stupidity on my part. It will be just foolishness on my part if I just pay attention to those hopes and fears, or just find fault with those hopes and fears. Instead, I prize the doubt. The Rabbi, he's saying that to consider youth's hopes and fears as wastage of time would be a folly. And these are the ideals, these are the doubts and fears that distinguished man from animal. So I prize the doubt. I give due significance, due importance to the doubts and fears of the youth age, because these doubts and fears are the only thing which does differentiate we human beings from the animals. Low kinds is for the animals, because the lower animals, they are just finished and finite clods. Lower animals are just lumps of clay. They are untroubled by any doubt or any uncertainty. They have no capacity for further development. They lack the spiritual light, we can say. Here in the last word, a spark. A spark is to denote the spark of divinity, we can say. The spark of divinity which is present in man is indicated by his ability to experience moral doubts and uncertainty. So the point is that this is the spark of divinity which just makes man fearful about good and bad. So this divinity, this sense of discriminating good or bad things is the only thing which differentiate man from animals. So in this way that the rabbi is just talking about youth as the stage which is just the preparation of old age. Let's see what he further sings. In the stanza 4, the rabbi sings, "Poor want of life indeed." He says that it would be a worthless boast. Want is for vain boast. So it would be a worthless, a poor boast about life. What is that? Were man but formed to feed. If he says that it would be worthless about human life if a man was created, formed to feed only, means to fulfill his physical desires only, to gratify his physical needs only, to solely seek, solely is for only, to solely seek and find and feast. That it would also be worthless to think about life if a human being is created to gratify his physical needs and only to seek, to find and enjoy eating, drinking and having pleasures, just feasting. Just feasting is not the aim of human life, that is to say. Then Rabbi says that life would then be meaningless, and such a narrow view of life where just feasting is only there, only physical pleasures are there. So it would be not have any meaning, it not be going to have any value. Such a narrow view of life would mean an end of life. As soon as the petty objects have been achieved, as soon as the petty desires are fulfilled, life will come to an end. Man would be no different from the lower animals then. Such feasting ended, then as sure an end to man, means with the end or with the fulfillment of the petty desires, with the end of the feast, the life will end. But this is not the destiny of human being. This is not of being human. This is not of being the supreme creation of God. Then man would be no different from the lower animals, because lower animals are concerned only with fulfillment of their physical needs. They have no longer or higher objects in view. In the last line he says, "Irk scare the crop full bird," a bird whose stomach is full. Crop full is for the full stomach. A bird whose stomach is full is untroubled by further worries. Irks care means he is not, care is for worry and irking is for irritating, means no further worries irritate a bird if its stomach is full. Frets doubt the mock-ramed beast. A beast which has eaten its fill is not bothered by doubts. Frets is for fears, means a beast which has eaten to its full, which has this full stomach, is not bothered by doubts. the Rabbi wants to say that spiritual cares and doubts, they beset only human beings, and therein lies man's superiority over the lower animals. So here in this stanza, the Rabbi is talking about the superiority of human beings over the animals. Let's see what he says in the next stanza. Stanza 5. Rejoice we are allied to that which doth provide, and not partake effect and not receive. A spark disturbs our clod. Nearer we hold of God, who gives than of his tribes that take. I must believe. Here he is talking about the supremacy of human life in this creation of God. He says that man should be glad of spiritual unrest, which indicates man's kinship with God, who provides for others and creates everything, but he does not share or take anything. He does not share or take back anything. He does not partake, effect, not receive. Man is not a mere lump. A spark disturbed our clod, means we are not a lump of clay. We are not not clod only. There is a spark. There is a spark of divinity. There is a divine element. That namely, that is soul, that stirs inside a human being. This spark, this soul, just makes him strive through doubts and fears to progress towards a higher spirituality. A spark disturbs our clod, means few human beings are not just a clay, we can say there is a spark, and that spark is our soul, and it is our soul only which always makes us to move towards the spiritual goals, which always just pushes us or to move toward a higher spirituality. Man is not a passive recipient of God's gifts or divine gifts, we can say, as lower animals are. A human being has just strive to achieve something good, something higher, and it is this quality which gives human beings greater claim to kinship with God. That's why we are nearer to God, because we have a soul which just asks us to keep on moving towards attainment of our spiritual goals. So it is this quality which gives us greater claim to kinship with God, who gives, rather than with the lower animals who merely receive passively, but what gives, and they do not have the spark of divinity. That's what he believes. In the stanza 6, the Rabbi is saying that whatever is God's plan is there for us, we should welcome it. He sings, then welcome each rebuff that turns earth's smoothness rough. He said that man is nearer to God than any other living being on earth. So man is close to God, man is akin to God. Therefore, Rabbi says that we should welcome every disappointment, every difficulty, every adverse circumstance which seems to turn the smooth process of life into rough path full of difficulties. Each sting that bids, nor sit nor stand but go. That Rabbi says that failures should be the stimulants for us, which incite us to further efforts. That every sting, it does not stop us. Every sting, every failure work as a stimulant, and it makes us to move further instead of making man sit or stand still. It makes him to move, to go. Be our joys three part parts pain. He said, it does not matter if for every bit of happiness we have to suffer 3 times as much of pain. He says that we should continue, strive and hold cheap the strain. We should continue to struggle. We should continue to learn from experience. We should continue to make light of our difficulties. Learn nor account the pang, dare never grudge the throe. We should fearlessly dare to achieve bold deeds, bold dreams, we can say, without complaining of the danger or the violent struggle that we have to face. The word throw is for the violent struggle and grudging is for complaining. So here the Rabbi is quite optimistic about the life of a human being. He says that we human beings are the special creation of God, and with great faith in God we must keep on moving, and whatever is there in our life is God's gift for us. So we should accept it happily and just welcome each difficulty, each adverse circumstance wholeheartedly, because this is all God's design for us and He believes this is the perfect design. So in this way, in these 6 stanzas, the Rabbi is just giving us an expression of Robert Browning's optimist philosophy. In our next videos, we will talk about the next stanzas of this poem. Thank you.